It's Dr. Steve, master of the subconscious mind and doctor who fixes 100% of orthopedic issues not related to cancer, fracture, infection. And let's cover epigenetics again today and the symptoms you're experiencing that were not your fault, that were from the lineage, but you were the generational curse breaker. You were born to overcome those and to heal those issues and break the cycle so your children don't get it as we spiritually evolve. So what happens in life is we have this structure called the triune brain. And the triune brain is made up of three parts. It's made up of your hippocampus, which is your memory. It's made up of the amygdala, and the amygdala is the emotional center of the brain. So you have an experience that happened, or your ancestor had an experience that happened, and it was stressful. So they or you put it in the back of your mind and forgot about it at 5 years old. And now all of a sudden, the memory of it in the hippocampus, which is attached to the emotion in the amygdala, sends a signal to the hypothalamus, which controls all of your autonomic function from heart rate, respiration, to digestion, to the immune function. And all of a sudden now your body is speaking in symptoms. It's the manifestation of illness. The virus has a spiritual meaning. The bacteria has a spiritual meaning. The parasite that lives in your microbiome has a message for you, right? The thing, not just your health issues are the window that communicates us through the love language of the universe. It's not just that. It's the events that occur in your life, the failed relationships, the financial struggles, the people not listening to you in your life. All these things are messages rising you to your consciousness, nirvana, whatever you want to call it. But it's that enlightenment that you arrive at. And when we detach, internalize, deny, or disconnect from this situation that was a pain, fear, or challenge in life, thank God for them because they're gifts and strange wrapping paper. Now all of a sudden you try to forget about it and push it on, pretend like it didn't exist because you're just going to stay in the present moment. That's all I'm going to do. But guess what? Your body starts speaking in symptoms, so it's not all about being present. So now all of a sudden, you're in the present moment and you start to experience a disease. Well, that disease is communicating with you through the love language of the universe, through that pain, fear, and challenge. So now what happens is you put it in the back of the mind, it starts to run that pattern, and that is basically causing three things, right? Three holding patterns, right? So it's either going to affect us emotionally, biochemically, or structurally. And then after that's impacted, then all of a sudden now it's stuck in the 5 elements of Chinese medicine. So fire, earth, metal, water, wood. So that gives us the window into the emotion that's creating the illness. So fire deals with insecurity, right? Metal deals with grief and sadness. Water deals with fear. Wood, what does wood deal with? Anger, frustration, depression. So those emotions then that stop flowing because you internalize the thought or the experience or denied it. Now all of a sudden it's going to be expressed somehow within that triad, emotionally, biochemically, or structurally, right? So is it held in the bones, right? Is it affected you biochemically? Is it stuck in the mind in a thought virus that somebody programmed you with? And that's the emotion that's there in those 5 elements, whether it be anger, or sadness, or fear. But those are all low vibrational frequencies. And all those low vibrational frequencies are what creating the experience. As you raise up and you're in an experience of love, loving, and understanding the meaning of everything, you reach nirvana or enlightenment. Now all of a sudden, the holding pattern stops. And that's where we're at, is the holding pattern, because you had the expression maybe in the bone, right? And through that femur, specifically, that caused the osteoporosis because you couldn't stand on your own 2 feet. The metal element didn't feed in the water element. It just didn't happen. So when it doesn't feed through that co-pathway, our body speaks in a holding pattern, through the mind, which is a chakra system, when the chakras feed your DNA. So the chakra system now is basically deals with those energy centers that feed in your meridians. And so we want to find out where in that lineage did it happen, because your DNA is the window into how it signals your cells to creating the symptom, right? Or it could have been held in the body, right? It could have been a manifestation of the mitochondria that were impacted because of a certain system that was impacted because of a toxin, right? So for instance, when we're going with that, we're talking about your mitochondria, which is your cell function, is impaired, right? But that's connected to, let's say, the reticuloendothelial system in your liver, which is a phagocyte system that clears out all this metabolic byproduct. So you can't clear it out because the mitochondria is not functioning because there was a toxin there. And that toxin was there because of that fear or that sadness that wasn't feeding the co-pathway in Chinese medicine from water to wood. So we just put it together. We know why it's there. We just told you the story. And with that, spontaneous remission of disease or illness is possible. So, and not only that, but we also get into sleep. And how do we solve the sleep problems? Because that's in the holding pattern as well, right? It's the mind, body, and spirit are the holding patterns that we have to go through to clear it out to reach that enlightenment. So now we have the spirit, and the spirit is our sleep. And that's where the sadness or the fear was stored on that subconscious level, and you didn't want to process it. So now when you look to the right or to the left or up or down, that fear exists. And it runs a pattern, creating osteoporosis because you didn't stand on your 2 feet because you were afraid. And that's the story that we put together and find the spontaneous remission, how it communicates with the universe, because the cycles that the planets are moving through happen rotationally over and over and over, and the energy manifested experiences through the chakra system, signaling your cells how to function. So thank you, cancer. Thank you, diabetes. Thank you, heart disease, because the universe is communicating with a strange way, and it's the love language of the universe. And when you learn to interpret it, you become powerful, and by letting the light shine within you, you unconsciously give everyone else the same power, because we're all in this together through the collective. One soul feeds the next.